Hey, how's it going? I pulled some cards, which I am going to show you and read, but first look at some signs. And then after that, listen to me talk for a minute before I start talking about cards. And I am going to read through what I had put up on WordPress yesterday, and I ended up not linking it like I said I was going to in yesterday's video because it wouldn't do paragraphs like every time I wanted it to, which was strange because sometimes it would do it, and there was nothing that I could see that made a difference either way for that to happen or not. So it just and then I couldn't get it to share either, and I couldn't get it to link, or I couldn't figure it out. So and the account is private, so if you're not like following me, you probably can't look at it. And I just realized that when I was messing with this app yesterday. I knew it was on private, but I wasn't really, I just did it a while ago and didn't think about what it meant to put it on private, so I have to take that off of there. Anyway, but I'm going to read it to you, what I had written down, and it was just one of those things where just like miscellaneous stuff was going through my mind, and some things decided to like form a nucleus or something and come together. Okay, so number 1, we get the government we deserve. Number 2, find better friends. Number 3, be the change you want to see. If these phrases evoke any sort of response in you, congrats. You are human. More human? Humaner? Anyway, I say that because, well, I'll just share my journey. Either made me feel defensive or like a challenge. The defensive, number 2 point is, distinguish the phrase that actually a quote. Oh, distinguishes, I see. I have this weird letter transposition thing that I do sometimes. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, right. Okay, so the number 2 point distinguishes the phrase that's actually a quote. I don't know why that is even in there. It's just number 2 is a quote. Actually, number 3 is also a quote, and so is number 1. So they're all quotes. So number 2, distinguish the phrase. I don't know. It looks like distinguish. I'm not real sure what I was going for there, but distinguish the phrase that's actually a quote. At the time that I heard the quote, I was feeling very lonely for some attention from friends. I was hospitalized, and I had had a couple of visitors, but I was surprised at how many didn't come. I said as much to a visitor I did have at the time I said it, who was a relative, and they told me that I needed to find better friends. Ever the filter free, that one. And not a healing effect in the moment. Decades later, after I healed from that wound, decades later, I have found this harshly delivered advice helpful. Thanks. Ow! Oh gosh. It was the first line comment or quote that set me off on this track. As always, as always is part of my daily routine. I swear I really did write this. Is dragging media sources for inspiration and information. It's clever. It's more clever if you read it. About the human condition currently. There's a lot of speak that conservatives, for example, generally didn't say out loud publicly, especially around a mic. And when I wrote that, I got a picture of... Do you remember that time when Mitt Romney was running for president against Obama? And he was at some meal thing, talk, donor, I think a donor meal or something. And somebody recorded him saying some pretty not gonna get you any votes kind of comments. Look that up. Obama versus Romney leaked audio. He's good at saying unfortunate things and shooting himself in the foot. Sorry, got sidetracked. So anyway, they generally wouldn't say things that would get them in trouble in front of a hot mic, though. In the case of Romney, he had no idea it was there, but there's ones that have been right in front of his face, and he said some kind of messed up stuff, too, so... But he's not unique in that. Well, no one is. No one's perfect all the time. And you gotta be trying to please so many different people, or, in some cases, only trying to please the ones you care about, and the rest of them can go pound sand. It seems like. So yeah. Looking for stuff in the media, and the conservatives that didn't used to say the stuff they say these days, especially around the mic. Really revealing stuff. Things you always suspected were true. So pin that. Just, I'll come back to this point of the inauthenticity. Oh, I missed a whole line, a whole bunch of sentence. It is good to have been gifted all of the inauthenticity. The gift is that it's out on display. What? Out of order. You're out of order. There we go. The gift is it's out on display. It looks to me the politicians on the right, I would never have voted for these people anyway, are being exposed for the kind of reasons, for that kind of reason. That's why. Because the inauthenticity on display. Of course, only a portion of the electorate will even be aware of the legal proceedings and results as presented by the MSM and a vast number of other sources. Curiosity and interest on the right in those are frowned upon. Indications of sympathy or acceptance of what may be found there in the MSM is suspect. to, it's like suspect to doxed and possibly driven off the grid to just completely shunned out of the village, essentially. No knocking over the drinks. For not opining in the right way. Is proportionality not a thing anymore? If people have looked at and listened to Second Amendment anything... Oh, sorry. Second Amendment... Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mark it as a paragraph very well. Does proportionality mean anything anymore in regard to... like being so culty about opinions and who's allowed to have them, and being people getting shunned and canceled, and what was the other one? Doxed. Because somebody says something that you don't agree with and it makes you mad. It's like you gotta go to all of that length about it. And also, I'm not even mentioning the weaponry that can come into play sometimes when people just are like that. I don't even know what. Like, I can't even imagine going through that many steps and changes about something somebody had said and end up with a gun in my hand, but I'll get there. Hold on. So, yeah, man, that's not cool. So, if people have looked at and listened to Second Amendment frothing and fervor and being subject to the kind of crap people have for exercising their First Amendment right, those people, the people that are exercising the First Amendment right, do not get the same respect as the seconders, because they're not scary. They're only saying stuff. They don't have weapons. They can't tenderize you with ballistic percussion. Those, okay, I already read that. Opinions don't kill or maim, and they wound only if we allow them to. They're definitely nothing with the physical power to injure the way guns do when they're used to answer words. Just totes inappropriate. That's just my opinion. Don't shoot me. That leaves the third remark. And here I'll move to the part with how they were and are challenging the words. I feel like it's unnecessary to explain the first two, and soon it'll be apparent that the third, for many, wherever they fall ideologically, that cadence was crazy, but the first two, and soon it'll be apparent that the third, for many, wherever they fall ideologically. Oh, the third will be true. That's what was missing. So yeah, so the third will be true for many, wherever they fall ideologically. Now, see, doesn't that sound and make more sense? Yes. Just editing on the fly. Same things penetrate heaviest layers of remove. Oh, sorry. Some things can penetrate even the heaviest layers of remove, as will the truth of what has been and is said. More and more, especially since there are those people I mentioned, they'll say the quiet part out loud. Did I mention those people? I feel like I did, but I didn't specify it. What was that? I didn't specify it. Okay. So yeah. Oh, I guess I must have referenced it at some point. I think it was number 1, which was, or sorry, number 3, which was, oh, be the change you want to see. Maybe not. Anyway. So, Well, whether I mention them or not, there are people that are out there, and they are people on the right, generally, but not exclusively, that are saying the quiet part out loud. By which I mean they're aware their words won't be well received in certain company. That used to be conventional wisdom. Emphasis on wisdom. Things better left unsaid were that way because it were wiser to keep the unvarnished truth of how you felt to yourself. Why? Because it would not be well accepted. It would make people uncomfortable at work, at home. It's just inhospitable. It just making people uncomfortable. It's not cool. And the one holding the opinion knew it. It's occurred to me, sorry, before I move on to the next sentence, they knew the opinion would be problematic for most people, and yet they felt the need to express it or act it out, as we see often. It's like very impulsive. It's occurred to me for the very first time how lonely it must be to have these beliefs and feel wrong for it, or being made to feel wrong for it. Feeling, I don't know, bad or broken because you believe and like that you do, only more others don't share your feelings, so that would be lonely and uncomfortable. Don't know the resolve to it. I can empathize. They may feel badly about it, but it won't make me like or agree with the sentiment. So, the rise in people feeling fine flying their freak flags. See, there it is. These are the people that say the quiet part out loud. They're freak flags of awfulness, my opinion, but not prohibition, because, I can't have a prohibition against them voicing their opinion, basically. As much as I might disagree or find it distasteful, they do have the right to express themselves. People that want to use words and aggression and force, those kinds of self-expression are different to me. Those people have a constitutional framework supporting their activity too, in the form of laws if it gets out of hand. Something to remember if you want to go that route and will basically be a lawbreaker in the form of sort of stomping all over somebody else's constitutional rights. Oh, and actual physical lives. I'll move on. So, passports to travel to a place where formerly prevailing norms are being discarded in favor of relenting to our impulses. And we're seeing buck naked how people's feels. We can blame Trump a bit. He's certainly modeled awfulness, awful as a personality trait to elevate. See how terrible I am. Let me see how terribler I can be. Let's find things wrong with people and drag them of funds Well, to find things wrong with people and to drain them of funds. The followers, that's who gets drained of their funds. Buying that cheapo merch and, signing up for things. And I don't know, like, probably in the not MSM, it wasn't widely advertised or broadcast that some of those things that ask you for donations for Trump, and probably his associates too, because if there's a good scam, why not get in on it? But if you donate and don't read the fine print, you may have signed yourself up for ongoing, like, recurring donations that you didn't necessarily intend to do. And so I know that it must have happened to a lot of people, and I wonder why you don't hear more outrage about it, because some of those people cannot be doing well enough to have all of a sudden their money just being drained from their account and not even realizing the source of it. So I don't know, that's a mystery. I don't know what happened with that, because the left stopped reporting it, and I don't know that the right ever did. So but yeah, so just finding things wrong with all kinds of people and just, calling names and then stealing their money, basically. Well, they get possessed by the what the heck does that say? By the what? Canceled? Peddled? Oh, possessed by the peddled hate, like they're selling it off. They like it. They like saying the hurtful words. They like saying it in the company of others that also get something out of hate speech. They get something out of what it is, what it does. We have a lot of categories for, like, hate and just people in general to aim the hate at, so that just makes a lane for it, you could say. But there's no need to do that, to single out any one thing. It's all just hate. Whatever shade or lane or whatever you want to call it, it just amounts to the same thing as hate. It doesn't help anybody, really. Like, it hurts the people that are getting hated on, usually. Either it hurts them or it makes them angry, or both. And why? Why go up to people and just start them feeling ways? Like, why instigate this? What did they do to you? Like, I gotta mess with somebody. I gotta hate on somebody. I gotta say words and call names. I think we all go through that. But most of us, like, there's an ending to the through. Like, it's not just continual forever. But, that is true of some people. And that, I believe, relates to past life stuff, but I am not going to even open that up can of worms right now. So, I'm doing on time. Okay, not bad. So, anyway, we have a lot of categories. We don't have to, narrow it down to any particular thing. We know that it's hate. It's too bad that for so many, it's an answer and an anchor. It's an eye-opening study for me. I look at myself for what is the thing that I graft myself onto that hard that I want only certain of us to access and enjoy, to be able to access and enjoy. I'm having trouble finding it, and that makes me happy. I'm pleased to be able to say. I'm sure there's something, though, because none of us, I just can't believe that none of us any of us are, perfect. I feel like you'd have to be perfect to achieve all of the like, it'll take a few lifetimes. That's why that's probably why we have multiple lifetimes. You don't have to believe it. It is opinion commentary happening here. But you might, let your mind consider it. Just out of curiosity, it's interesting. So anyway, I pulled one card from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. Turn it right way up before I try to stick it up there, if I can get my hand to work. And it was number 26, Gathering Around the Power of Community. And then I also pulled 2 cards from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. And they are Crocodile, your obvious water sign. He's literally sitting in water. And Unicorn. I love how I pulled these not early, but several hours before I started doing this. Like, it wasn't in the AM. So it's just interesting. Like, you can always, I guess, influence what you're gonna do. And I knew I was gonna read that piece that I just kind of haltingly read. Halting, not haunting. Although, I don't know, maybe it was. I'm not saying it was like... Anyway. So the Gathering Around, the subtitle on this card is The Power of Community. So, given what I closed on, the culty power of the mega community, they are like deeply imprinted on that stuff, those followers. And I don't agree. So what? Big deal. It's okay. That happens. It's, for me, it's not, like I was saying about having the different opinion. To me, it's like, okay, your opinion is different from mine. Okay, that's how it goes. And I'm not one of the ones that are gonna, like, get violent about it. So, before I go to the other ones, let me quickly read and see what the guidebook has to say about Gathering Around. The power of community, being safe and secure, allowing help. These are times when you need positive reinforcement from others. Perhaps your journey has made you tired just before reaching the proverbial finish line. I cannot believe how many words from earlier today are in those 2 sentences. Like, deja wow. Crazy. I hope you're paying attention to stuff like that, because if you are, you're likely to notice more coincidences, more synchronicities, more just like, what just happened? Who is that person and what happened to the person who used to inhabit that body? You're gonna see a lot of that. Oh, sorry, got sidetracked. It's so easy. So perhaps your journey has made you tired just before reaching the proverbial finish line. I couldn't wait to get there. Where your friends await to cheer your arrival. Know this. Ooh, big dash. You are not alone, regardless of whether you think you are. Thank you for that. That's a hard one. I mean, most people do not continually feel the presence of others around them or anything. So Some of us have to work toward it. I luckily fall somewhere in the middle range there. So I don't know. I'm just appreciative that I can notice it and perceive it, but that's because I want to and I know it's there. That type of thing is for each person to make a determination of all on their own. I feel like. So anyway, know this: you are not alone, regardless of whether you think you are. People gather around to help with your next step as you bring it forth from the cosmos into the beauty of life. So, space inspiration, I guess? I don't know. Okay, where'd it go? There's never been another you before, and you have a unique relationship with your friends, family, communities, and all of those who gather to help you in the unseen realms. I thought of something while I was reading it, but I wanted to finish the sentence, and now I can't remember what I was going to say. There's never been another you before. Oh, like a snowflake? I think snowflakes are beautiful, by the way, and people that use them as a pejorative, well, I don't. So, shut up. Now is the time to allow assistance from others. Ask for it and trust that you will receive it. You are safe and secure right now in this moment, truly supported in your beautiful, amazing, complicated life. I mean, I think everyone can relate to the complicated life part. I feel like even if your stuff's going really well, there's always some little complication or bump in the road or burr under your saddle, some kind of irritant or something to like send you off on another direction and than you intended in the first place, because you can't just be happy and quiet and calm and just enjoy that for an extended period of time. That would be boring. I don't know if I agree with that, but that seems to be the way it works. You are heard by angels, witnessed by the divine, and loved. Oh my God. I'm watching this show called Bodies right now, and yeah, there's bodies in it. But a phrase that's completely mystifying, because I'm only in the beginning of the second episode, is some of the people in the story that are hard to figure out say this to each other quite a bit, and the saying is, you are loved. I told you, man, bleed through. You are heard by angels, witnessed by the divine, and loved. Yes, loved. Now. Okay. And always by life itself. You're loved. Look, everything's trying to tell you. Sorry, I don't mean to be strident. I just get so excited. I only have a little bit more. Whatever your query, you will find the help you need to achieve what you desire, and you will not have to do this alone. Count on it. Well, there's something to that. I have faith is just sitting there waiting to be said, so there you go. But it applies kind of, and not necessarily like sitting in a church, Jesus, God, Christian faith, just like belief and confidence in yourself, what you know you can do. Like everything doesn't have to be insurmountable, and usually when we think we can't do things, we're wrong, and we totally can. So, you know, I mean, simple stuff. We should be able to know this about ourselves. So, before I move on, just in case you didn't catch it, gathering around and the power of community. The power of the MAGA is strong. Those people are like kind of die hard for a lot of that stuff, which I can tell you right now, I'm not like all like into that world. I'm not sure what happens. It's been a long time, like years, since I was even, caught up with a lot of what's going on in that part of the political world, I guess, ideological world. But I see enough to know that they have a lot of diverse opinions about stuff, and really no one is saying the same thing, so it's kind of interesting. But I mean, something they all are like gathering together with about, something is drawing them all together. They have some commonalities, and that's fine. They're not the only ones out there. They're like the left has their community as well, but when I am watching someone say that they don't care if the man grabs people's genitals and calls people's names, bad names, makes fun of people that are like born with a physical challenge, like they didn't decide in this, they, on this side of the birth canal, they did not decide to do that, to be born that way. So, and then, this person, and also like the legislators on the right, are all doing stuff that people used to tell their children not to say and do. And they're also the same people out there screaming and yelling about what gets said and done in front of their kids. And it's like, mirror. So, like I said, I don't get it. I'm not deluded by Mr. Trump. I already knew who he was well before any of this election stuff, and it was all scandalous. And that's why people used to say, when he first was going to run for president, the things they used to say. And depending where you are ideologically and whatever else makes you glued to the guy, depending on the degree that you have that ailment, you may or may not be able to pry yourself away from MAGA, and that's fine. Everybody's got a cause or belief. Mine is nothing in particular. Well, no, I do have a belief. Like, people on the right like to say they're patriots with their, whole motif of what that looks like to them. My patriotism is to us and to each other, us humans, but actually just the living beings on the planet. Like, I kind of, don't want to hurt them. I don't want to injure them physically. I don't want to puncture them or slice them or spindle or mutilate. I might say some sharp words. In fact, there's a likelihood that I will. But as I said earlier, that can only wound you if you allow it to. And I really am trying to get a handle on the sharp tongue too. It's not a matter of name calling or anything like that, but I guess you could say I'm kind of a bitch sometimes. Dang it. Why was I talking about that with community? Well, there's a community on the left too, but it's way looser, and it's a lot of groups. There's a lot of groups on the right as well. Sorry, if something I ate is like floating around in my mouth. There's groups on both sides, and it's interesting how, the left and the right get so like inflamed about the groups that they're referring to. Like, I tend to be more worried about the groups on the right because they're big Second Amendment people, which has nothing to do with what the Second Amendment actually says. So I don't know why they keep bringing it up. Just makes you look kind of nutty, but okay, you got the gun. But on the left, there's groups too that are strident and I don't know, intense. But it's not the same though. There's also name calling and all of that, but I think the difference is the violence. There's far less of it on the left than there is on the right, in the same kind of way, in like sabotage and terroristic and that kind of thing. That's more of a right thing. I mean, sorry, but it just is. You can go do your research and see for yourself. So, the crocodile. Well, I'm just going to tell you what it says here. There's a subtitle under crocodile here in the book, the guidebook, and it says resting, submerging, collecting energy, cooling off. And I think that goes along with my first impression when I pulled this, which was this guy is really old, and so nothing should be phasing him, and we should all be taking notes from what this creature's attitude towards things is, because I mean, it can certainly be roused to aggression if it's hungry or if it feels threatened. And I don't know what threatens a crocodile. Like, maybe their nest where they have young, they might feel threatened. I can't think of anything else, but maybe there is something. But generally, nobody messes with these guys, and they don't generally feel the need to be outgoing, you know. And I feel like it's because they know that, and here's something that I'm struggling with right now. When you have something happen, it's best not to react. It's better to respond. And to respond, for me, what I feel like I need to do, rather than reacting and like flipping right off the handle and getting mad, is rest. So stop, come to a stop, submerge, soak my head. Like, I'm joking that you have to like go with your imagination on that one, but collecting energy and cooling off. So I mean, I just feel like go soak your head could be the same as like put a bag on your head, which would for me be a euphemism for calm down, go look at something else, don't even think about this, just make a whole other landscape and get whatever's gotten you aroused emotionally over with. Like, don't even bother wasting your time, because soon you're not going to be mad. Soon whatever it was that made you mad is not going to be a big deal anymore, and it's better to just hold off, stay cool, bide your time. And then the other card I pulled was Unicorn. And the subtitle for Unicorn is Reconnecting to Higher Wisdom or Divinity. And I feel like, okay, something just caught my eye. It is difficult to see, hear, or think of a unicorn without immediately questioning if it's real. Did they ever exist? Perhaps long, long ago? The mind answers maybe, or it could be, or no way. This very contemplation explains our relationship with divinity and encapsulates our wavering belief in the unicorn. So what had caught my eye was relationship. Our relationship. And in this case, it's with divinity. And so, in talking about, like what I was talking about before the crocodile, really, with we humans as people here in the U.S., I gotta specify always, and it's interesting. There is a sort of central clot of us that materializes where like protests need to happen, and people need to show up in great numbers to make statements to agree with or to defy or decline. Just you're not for it is what I'm trying to say, whatever it is. And I think it's probably good that that type of person exists, because it gets your eyes and ears on subjects that you may not have been paying any attention to until they started making a ruckus. And that's a good thing. That is helpful, I think. I have never wanted to do that. Like, I mean, especially now I wouldn't do it, because the way that the clashes happen, that people are using cars to like make a point, or guns or something, or even just beating each other up. It's like, nope, I'm not into that. So I'm not going to go place myself in a situation where I could potentially be harmed. And I know a viewer might be saying, well, what about the issue? What about the thing being protested? There's ways to protest and ways to contribute that don't involve showing up at a physical protest. I mean, there's a group that does that so other people can do other stuff. It works for me. And so it's almost like the unicorn kind of represents the right there but just out of reach, frustratingly so, ability to get along as a society that we used to have. Like, it's a dream. Like, people are pining for the good old days, and I wonder if part of it's not because we're just at each other's throats all the time, and we're just attacking everything about everybody. Like, how old you are, when you're from, what generation you are, what team you play for, what color is the right one to be a gang with, and it's like there's so many like rules. Oh man, less of those for me, please. So the ideal of us gathering and not wanting to scream in each other's faces and mace each other or bear spray each other or damage each other in any other way, like, some of us can't even envision going back to a time when we can be civil with each other. And I get it, except for one thing, and here's another unicorn. I've been watching a lot of shorts and videos of like the angel people that just go out and find people that are homeless or whatever, or just that are upset, that in some way look like they need help, and then they go up and ask them if they can help them. Or some of them, and I don't really like it as much when they do this, they give them sort of like a moral test, and they're filming this stuff too. So this one guy will go up to people in the store and say, oh, I found this $20, is it yours? And he's testing them to see if they're a good enough person to be honest. And he lets them take it, even if because it's his 20, it was never on the floor. So he's doing this like effed up test on people, but then he lets those people have the money, but it's like, so like, well, that person is and I don't like that. Like, he doesn't say anything, but it's implied. And so he does go on to like find someone that's like, nope, not my money, and then they're like, well, do you want to keep the 20, or would you rather give out $5,000 to people in the store? And so then a bunch of people get money, and then in the end, the person that he deems like a good person and that, you know, is selfless and decides to take the gift and turn around and tell him to either give it to somebody else or, you know, in some other way refuse to accept it, then they're like the good person. And I think, well, that's kind of crappy. They do, everyone gets some money, and I guess that's the point. Then there are other ones that don't do that. Like, one guy will give them inspirational notes, or he'll ask them what their biggest regret is, you know, or other people will say in a setting where you're going to tip someone, what was your biggest tip, and like double or triple it, and then have them share the money with the rest of the staff. And it's like all these, and there's people that rescue animals, and there's just all these angel people everywhere. So I find it very fortifying, and even though it gets me in tears mostly, it gets me in tears often. It gets me in tears mostly? Well, I don't even know what that means. Anyway, and that's not a bad thing. Crying gets rid of toxins, and it's a good cry. So they are the other unicorns. So those are two unicorns that we can aspire to, and I think we're just making our way there. Like, we are aspiring to that. A lot of us are inspired to do charitable works of some kind, and there is a charity that I wanted to start, but I haven't been able to get it together. But I donate, you know, as much as I can. I didn't used to at all, but now I do, and it's like, it doesn't hurt me. Like, I still have, you know, it's fine. I like doing it when I can help. It actually does feel good. So you get to feel like a unicorn. I don't know. I just was thinking about that stuff about us peoples, and we can be like really negative and grim and gloomy and doomy, but, and while that is all absolutely happening, there's all these other changes happening and all these other really beautiful things happening. So I wanted to start bringing more of that to my little whatever these are. And I'm done talking for now. Thank you and good night.